You can have the office, the title, the influence, and still feel like a stranger in your own life. That's the dirty secret of the C-suite. Power looks like the prize, but it often feels like a prison. From the outside, it looks perfect. But on the inside, something is missing. Because power isn't enough. No matter how many zeros are in the paycheck, how many people report to you, or how many boards invite you to sit at the table, there's still a quiet question rising inside. Is this it? If you felt that before, you're not alone. This is the awakening happening in the C-suite right now. Executives, especially women, who've spent their lives chasing power, are realizing that power without purpose feels hollow. And that's what we're exploring together today. Why power isn't enough. What your soul is asking for instead. And how to awaken to a new kind of leadership that transforms authority into legacy. Power builds an empire. Awakening builds a legacy. Power can make people follow your orders. Awakening makes people trust your presence. Power fills your calendar. Awakening fills your soul. That is the distinction no one teaches you in business school. Yet it's the very thing every executive eventually collides with. Power can get you the office, but awakening is what makes you alive inside it. So why does power on its own feel so unsatisfying? Because power without presence fuels disconnection. When you operate only from authority and control, you create distance from your team, from your family, and even yourself. You're respected, but not necessarily connected. Power without grounding fuels exhaustion. The higher you climb, the more pressure you carry. Without regulation and boundaries, the title becomes a cage, not freedom. Power without soul fuels emptiness. When your leadership is divorced from meaning, you can hit every milestone and still feel like something is missing. Authority without soul is just noise. Alignment turns it into influence. Your career journey may have been about gaining power, but your awakening is about integrating soul. That is the true evolution of leadership. And if you're honest with yourself, you've probably already felt it. It shows up as a quiet restlessness, even at the peak of success. A longing for more meaning, not just more money. A sense that the strategies that got you here won't carry you forward. That is awakening. It's your soul tapping on the glass saying, I'm ready to lead too. Every executive eventually faces this journey, and it usually unfolds in stages. First comes success. The climb, the hustle, the proving. Power feels like the only goal. Then comes disillusionment. You arrive, you hit the milestones. Instead of fulfillment, you feel emptiness. The question emerges, why doesn't this feel like enough? Then comes the awakening. The restlessness deepens. You begin seeking meaning, presence, purpose. You start exploring inner work, meditation, journaling, therapy, spiritual practices. And finally comes integration. This is where the magic happens. You don't reject success, but you refuse to let it define you. You lead with a calm nervous system, a clear mind, and a soul that guides your decisions. Success, disillusionment, awakening, integration. These are the stages of transformation. Power is the climb. Awakening is the transformation. Awakening isn't about quitting your role or burning it all down. It's about leading from a different place inside yourself. Awakening looks like pausing before reacting. It looks like listening to your body instead of overriding it. It looks like letting intuition join analysis in decision making. It looks like asking your soul what role it wants to play in your leadership. Awakening is subtle, but powerful. It's the difference between controlling and connecting, between performing and being present, between chasing titles and building trust. And this is where leadership becomes magnetic, because people can feel the difference. They can feel when you're leading from pressure versus presence. They can feel when you're driven by fear versus aligned with purpose. The world doesn't need more powerful executives. It needs more awakened ones. And here's the cost of ignoring this awakening. When leaders stay stuck in disillusionment, chasing more power without alignment, the results ripple through entire organizations. It looks like toxic work cultures built on fear. It looks like teams burned out because their leader is burned out. It looks like innovation being stifled because people don't feel safe to contribute. It looks like leaders so exhausted they can't even enjoy what they've built. The cost of unawakened leadership isn't just personal emptiness. It's collective dysfunction. And if you never move through the stages, the cost becomes even heavier. If you stop at success, you live your whole career proving yourself, but never arriving. If you stop at disillusionment, burnout becomes your constant companion. If you stop at awakening without integration, you get stuck in limbo, aware there is more, but never embodying it. That is why integration matters. Without it, the cycle just repeats itself. More goals, more pressure, more emptiness. And you've already seen it. Entire companies run by executives who look powerful on the outside, but are disconnected on the inside. That's why your awakening matters. It's not selfish, it's service. Because when you awaken, when you regulate your nervous system, when you connect to your soul, you don't just heal yourself. You shift the culture around you. An awakened leader doesn't just change their life. They change the room they walk into. So how do you move into integration? There are 3 keys. regulate before you respond. When stress hits, don't lead from reactivity. One breath, one pause. Teach your body safety before making the next call. Regulation is not weakness. It is strength. Anyone can react. Few can pause. When you regulate before you respond, you show your team that leadership is not panic. It is presence. Align decisions with meaning. Ask yourself, does this move reflect who I am, or just what I think I should be? If it's not aligned with your values and vision, it's not worth the cost. Alignment in decisions means asking not only, will this succeed, but also, does this reflect who we are? Because a win that costs your integrity is not a win. Alignment makes success sustainable. Lead with presence. Your presence is more powerful than your title. When you walk into a room regulated, aligned, and soul connected, people feel it before you speak a word. Presence is the rarest power in the room. Most leaders walk in distracted, overloaded, half absent. But when you arrive fully, calmly connected, your presence alone changes the atmosphere. That is leadership people remember. These keys aren't about abandoning power. They're about expanding it. They're about turning power into purpose. So let me ask you, where in your leadership are you stuck in power without presence? Where are you carrying authority without alignment? Where is your soul asking to be part of the conversation? That's your invitation. That's your awakening. Power isn't bad. It's just incomplete. What you're searching for isn't less power. It's deeper power. It's soul-aligned power. Because power without soul is hollow. But power integrated with soul, that's unstoppable. If you've been feeling that quiet question, is this it? Know this. It's not a failure. It's your awakening. It's your soul saying, you don't have to lead from emptiness anymore. You can lead from alignment. You can lead from presence. You can lead from wholeness. That's when power becomes purpose. That's when leadership becomes legacy. If this resonates, subscribe. Share this with a woman in leadership who needs to hear it. And come back every Wednesday as we continue building the model of the aligned executive. Because power isn't enough. But you are.